Thank you. Just a heads up, I'm just a little bit under the weather, but I'm gonna push through this because we do need to review some stuff, some comments that were made at the last meeting. We do need to submit the letter for the URLIP that we reviewed, and there was some comments made about some conditions, and we're gonna talk about those conditions a little bit later. But before we get into that, my name is Kwame Afray. I'm the land use chair for Community Board 17. Today is October 2nd, and I call this meeting to order. Um, just to go through the mantra again, our committee our committee advocates for the responsible planning and development within the district. We provide input on zoning changes, business improvement districts, variances, special permits, and other land use matters in accordance with the New York City Charter. We strive to balance the preservation of our community's character with the need for thoughtful development that benefits all residents. Our responsibilities include landmarks, historic preservation, housing issues, budget matters related to the HPD and DOB and the Department of City Planning. Um, and that's that. I did get a couple of phone calls today. I'm gonna roll into important and local news. I got a phone call today about a lawsuit that was filed by New York City by some elected officials going against the charter revision um, about our current or up and coming mayoral election. There's some questions that are on the ballot that will shift the way our committee will have to review certain things in the future that I was told to bring to your attention, which I plan to do tonight. But I'm going to read some of the article that was sent to me and some of the and try to concisely speak on some of the phone calls I received. Um, Ultimately, the argument is that the commission is violating state and city environmental laws by failing to conduct the review of proposals, which is what we do as a committee, right? They're reshaping the land use process or the URLA process and trying to create a expedited version of it to push through some things under the guise of um, trying to relieve or trying to assist in the affordable housing issue that the city has currently. Um, there's several city council members, a couple of state representatives, some senators that are involved in the lawsuit. Um, and I was told that we have to pay attention to the questions that will be on the ballot in the coming weeks, or it might even, yeah, in the coming weeks. And I was given the questions, and I'm going to read those questions out now. Number one, which is a statewide proposal. It allows the Olympic Sport Complex in the Adirondacks Forest Preserve. This amendment would allow for the expansion of skiing and other trail facilities in Essex County. Olympic Sports Complex, which is um, on state forest preserve land. A yes vote authorizes the construction and requires the state to add 2,500 acres of new forest land to the Adirondacks. Not so much affecting us, but it is on the ballot. Questions through to 6 do affect our city charter revisions, and they read as follow. Number 2, fast track affordable housing. The proposal would create 2 new expedited review processes for certain affordable housing projects. No definition of what that actually means. This includes publicly financed projects and developments in districts with the lowest rates of affordable housing production. Question 3, simplify review modest housing and infrastructure projects. This measure would simply, this measure will simplify the process for smaller housing infrastructure projects, such as those related to flood protection. This expedited land use review procedure, which they're coining as ELERP, would, would maintain community board review while removing the city council final decision and making power for most of these and making provisions for most of these projects to move forward. Question number 4 is establish an affordable housing appeals court. This proposal would create a 3-member board comprised of the mayor, city council speaker, and relevant borough president with the power to overturn city council decisions that rejects and modifies certain affordable housing applications. Question 5 is create a digital city map. The question seeks to consolidate the city's paper maps, which are currently spread across the 5 boroughs, into a single centralized digital map maintained by the DCP. And question 6 is move local elections to presidential election years. This would move the New York City municipal elections to even numbered years to align with the federal presidential elections. The change is intended to increase voter turnout, but will require additional state constitutional amendment to take effect. The concerning questions was from 2 to 4, right? This is going to be on your ballot for you to vote on. You know, this is something that in this triplicate can effectively push through multiple projects in many areas on top of what we've already pushed through or whatever's been agreed upon with City of Yes. Something like this can fast track certain projects. The guise of what those projects are is not very clear, but it will be on the ballot. You will be voting on it, or we'll have the opportunity to vote on it in the coming weeks. So we have to pay attention to that. I'll follow up with questions afterwards. I'm just going to go over just a couple of other pointed items. We do have the Rite Aids that were taken that shuttered in our neighborhoods have been converting to supermarkets. A number of them have that I've reviewed. So I guess we know what they turned into. Hopefully, it's a beneficial thing for the community. There's never not a need to have anything more than or have any more options for food, especially in the areas that some of these Rite Aids were. So I'm hoping that that's a positive thing. We have the Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center that will be completed in the coming weeks. There is a swim program that's going to be initiated there. And we also like to look and see what other programs that we could facilitate there and possibly even see if we could have some of our meetings there. Try to utilize the new space and take advantage of having something built like that in our community. That ends my report. I'm going to open the floor for any questions now. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you in the order that I see you. Any questions? Anybody?
Yes.
I see a hand. I'm not seeing a hand. Sorry. Let me move this. Yeah, you're acknowledged. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. You said how many options are going to be on the ballot?
6 questions.
6.
One statewide proposal. 5 city charter revisions.
Are we going to get a copy of this to read before the ballot?
It was hard for me to get a copy for it, but I'll share it with you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll get that distributed. It took me a while to even find the questions, but I was able to retrieve them. There is a will and a way.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sorry. Seeing the hands. Let's see. All right. No questions. All right. I'll make sure that the questions that I got in my possession get distributed to you guys. I also need to confirm. I was looking through my emails. Notion, did we distribute the slide deck from the last meeting to everybody?
Let me take a look because I can't remember off the top of my head.
All right. I want to make sure that and this gets distributed and you can share amongst everybody. And I was also notified that Community Board 9 is having a town hall meeting. The details of that was kind of given to me in a rapid fire fashion this afternoon. I think it may be tomorrow. I'm going to try to get some more information on that as well. I got that in the late afternoon, late call. So once I get some clarity on that, and it's to speak on these ballot questions and to try to inform the public as much as possible about what they'll be voting on and what will be on the ballot and what the potential impacts of saying yes to some of these things will be. All right. Seeing no other questions, I guess we could move on to the meeting minutes. Yeah, I think that we have enough to review the meeting minutes. All right, could someone make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June and September.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Marguerite?
Carol, I second the motion.
Motion's been moved and properly seconded. Now's the time for any questions, changes, revisions. Anybody? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes for June and September, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The minutes have been moved and properly. The motion passed. Excuse me. Thank you. We did the chairperson's report already, so I guess we'll move to unfinished business, which I'm going to start off with stating, let's review these conditions for this URLIP letter that needs to be submitted by Monday. What are the conditions? What were the conditions that may have been missed or that I missed that need to be discussed or added to said letter prior to us or in conjunction with the board approval? I wasn't clear on that. So now's the time to discuss that. Whomever has anything to add or mention that, you could raise your hand now. I acknowledge it and I'll be taking some notes. Allison, you acknowledge?
Good evening, everyone. The condition was to have a permanent seat for CD17 on the board.
Did you see that the question was answered and that's not possible?
Well, I had a conversation with someone in the CLT that's managing, where that was not the impression that I got, that it's something that could potentially happen.
Okay. All right. So I got that down. The request for a permanent seat on the CLT board, correct?
Yes, definitely for the tripartite board that will be responsible for that this property would be in.
Okay. Thought that was a question. I confused that with the condition. Apologize for that. Were there any other conditions?
I feel like we talked about other things, but I can't remember. I only remember the seat on the board. So I can't remember anything else.
Yeah, I reviewed the tape. Came off more as a question that needed to be answered, but I could see how it would be considered a condition now. Not having gotten the answer at the meeting, so it makes sense. You know, that makes sense. But somebody putting something in the chat.
Oh, Adele is saying someone from this committee should be on the board.
Well, that's the right. That's what you stated, Allison. Correct? You want a permanent community resident or community board member? What's the condition?
I said the community board should have a permanent
Okay.
seat. Who they split in it.
Yeah, well, Adele is saying it should be a land use committee member.
Sure.
That's what she's saying.
All right. All right. I'll get that added. They've been emailing daily about that.
Or at least on the advisory board they're gonna have.
Well, that's when you say the tripartite board, right? So that means all of them, right? The three-headed.
No. Well, depending on how they're arranging it, the tripartite board would have one set that's like the community at large, one person, people in the particular property, and then the other is like professionals and technical assistants.
Okay.
So it depends on how they're structuring it.
But then the advisory board outside of it, you're saying? The one that's gonna
Correct. So
oversee the
one or
construction,
the
the
other.
building, and yeah, okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's easy enough. I'll review the tape again. I did go to that section and listen to it again, but I'll review it again to see if there was anything else that I may have missed. Any other unfinished business?
Yes, Hazel Martinez. Good evening.
Yes,
I have
Hazel.
2 comments. One, both of them. We had the last community board meeting. There was absolutely no mention of 2 issues which I think should be brought back to the community. And one is the Con Ed issue, and the other one because the Con Ed facility was had a walkthrough with you all. There were meetings at the board office over the summer, and there was actually some changes. Some of their final placement of the electricity is different from what they initially told us, and the other one is the Costali issue. No, I haven't heard anything more about it.
Yeah, the DeCastali issue is still going through a review for their the last I checked, they were still in the process of getting approvals. I don't believe that they got approvals the last time I checked. That may have been like a week or 2 ago. That approval hasn't been granted at this time, to my knowledge. But I will follow up. That is it's another state department, and it is an online thing that you can review the status of. But yes, I'll follow up and let you know about that. Yes, there was a meeting in the summer about Con Edison in the office. Um, I was actually out at that time, and co-chair Melanie, we did have discussions about it. Uh, I didn't hear anything about something changing, but I'll reach out to their project manager and see what information that pertain to that.
Well, actually, what they said is initially they said that this was going to enhance electricity in Vinegar Hill, which is really Dumbo and the Navy Yard. Now they're saying that they'll have Gateway 1 and 2, and it would actually be providing more electricity to our community. So, I mean, there needs to be some follow-up or clarification.
Yeah, about what it's serving. Yeah, I thought the Vinegar Hill was where the lines were coming from to feed the
No,
substation.
they're coming from here. No, they're coming. Well, no, they're coming from. They initially they said it was coming here and going to end at the Farragut houses, and then it would branch out to feed those areas.
Right.
But then now it has changed, and it's going to be feeding more our area because I went to one of those meetings, and we have. I mean, I keep a calendar of every time my electricity flickers. And I think, so it seemed like it was going to be different. And I actually had a conversation with them about the fact that they held their public hearing in the Mill Basin Library. Now that is 3 miles from where this site is. Mm-hmm. And they had the public notice was published in the Daily News and the Canarsie Courier. What relationship does it have to our community at all?
It doesn't. It doesn't. All right.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. This is from the summer meeting, right? In August, right?
Yes.
So this where this change came? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll follow up on that. So I got the Costco, the status, Con Edison meeting, and we got the permanent seat. Unfinished business. Okay. Miss Kwashi.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Just don't bother raised hands.
I didn't raise my hand, so go ahead.
Miss Kwashi.
Yes, thank you. And to piggyback off of Ms. Martinez, I sent Ms. Frazier an email about 3 weeks ago concerning what Con Edison did on Troy and Farragut. there was a bunch of trucks doing repairs on the corner of Troy and Farragut for about 3 days on the length of Troy Avenue. That I think it was a Sunday night. I have it all in my email to Ms. Frazier, but
Okay.
it looked like my house was a haunted house with the electricity, the Bride of Frankenstein. You know, the electricity was shaking for like 20 minutes.
Flickering?
I thought I had to leave my house.
You said flickering for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was very frightening. My tenant was afraid because they have
Was
a
there
small
emergency?
child.
Was it an emergency repair truck?
No, there was no emergency repair truck outside
Okay.
that night it happened, but someone called the fire department. The fire department went down by the Costco, but there was nothing over there. And then when I woke up in the morning, across the street where Drift, the restaurant is, there was it was taped off. And then an hour later, Con Edison had one truck out there, and then the next day there were several trucks.
Multiple trucks. Okay.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I
you're
gave
wrong.
Ms. Frazier also pictures and everything of what
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah, that didn't get to me, but I'm sure that she probably followed up. But we'll probably
She didn't get an answer because I haven't heard anything.
okay.
Because
I'll
I need
follow
to
up.
know.
That's a
Because
third repair. That's a third repair on Troy Avenue in the past year. Wasn't it the truck? Then the truck hit the transformer initially.
that was a
And
Glenwood, yeah,
that
Glenwood and
was the
Troy.
20 glowing. All right.
Yeah, that was Glenwood and Troy. This one was on Troy and Farragut.
Troy Farragut. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Do you have a date approximately?
It's in my
What I have?
email.
All
I'll
right.
forward it to you.
If you could forward it to my email, landuse at cb17.org, and I'll
Okay,
follow
sure.
up.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Viglianti?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any more information, or if anyone has any more information on the possible lithium battery storage facility that was possibly going up at 51st or 52nd and Farragut.
I remember the rumblings of it. I didn't hear anything officially come down about it. There was that one, and there was actually one in the Mill Basin area that probably got more news coverage than that. Both stories
Yeah.
I was tracking, but I didn't hear that anything was pushed through. With quiet, quiet doesn't mean that something's not happening. You know,
Right.
the street was. You said 51st and
It's 51st, 52nd, and Farragut. So between 51st and 52nd on
I
Farragut.
remember that. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Daniel mentioned this towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
That they were fighting it. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, yeah. So he'll be the person that I'll contact to follow up on this.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, he did mention that like probably in April. In April's meeting, that something was going on over there. They were opposing it, but we'll see where it ended up.
Who is opposing it? The councilwoman's office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying that they were opposing it. That's what drew the red flag to it actually happening, because I didn't get any notice of it. My notice
Yeah.
came from him. Yeah.
Okay, well,
All
we'll
right.
follow up. Yeah, thank you.
Allison, so hands raised.
Oh, sorry, that's a residual.
That's all. All right. Any more unfinished business? I do want to talk about something here, and task us with this as we close out this section. I guess it's more new business. So I'll close out unfinished business and we'll open up to new business. And I'll start with this. I do think that we probably need to speak on or channel or communicate in some fashion about what happened this summer with this particular application to prevent it from happening in the future again in that manner. There has to be standoffs or drop dead dates that allows us to be able to review these applications more thoroughly. And the timing of the last one, I don't particularly care for. I didn't really care that I had to try to query people in the summer and pay attention to something and try to get that information out. It's kind of unfair knowing that we recess, and most community boards do, during the same period every year. So I want to know if somebody could help me um, get the framework together of something that we could write to possibly send to DCP and the borough president's office to, expel that. It needs to have different rules. I mean, they voted it in, or it became our rule about 3 years ago, the 60-day thing, or about 2 years ago, the 60-day thing. But obviously, it needs to be amended to avoid these summer months. Anybody willing to help me craft the framework of what that's supposed to look like? East 98th Street area development. Haven't heard a thing. Haven't heard anything about that. Sorry.
I can help you with crafting that.
Appreciate that.
I have a question. If when you craft it, is it possible? Can we say that anything that comes to us, we're gonna, if it comes to us in that way and we don't have enough time, we're just going to vote it
Auto
down
reject. Auto
across the
reject.
board? Yeah, just auto reject it. I mean, I don't know if that's too harsh, but maybe that's what we need to say.
It's that, and I did notice something else. There's some community boards that actually have frameworks for their ULUPs. I don't know how effective it is, honestly. I've read them. It's basically guidelines of what they expect to be built in their neighborhoods. It's almost like a standoffish. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're trying to achieve. I'm not sure of the effectiveness of it, but some community boards, or one in particular, has like frameworks for their ULIP applications that kind of states what they're looking for in the community. And I guess if it's either a mechanism to avoid people coming to do applications, or I'm not sure how the borough president or the borough or borough hall feels about these frameworks. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. But when I do get the framework document that I'm speaking of, I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I'll try to share that just so you have an idea of what's happening outside of us that possibly we may be able to mimic. I see hands. I'm not sure about the order. I'm gonna go with Allison. I'm sure that's not a reciprocal hand.
No, it's not. I would just
Okay.
say, what board was that? And I think you should share it. And there's nothing wrong with a community board establishing rules of the road for how it wants to be engaged. And in fact, I think people will be more serious about what they present and how they present it if you tell them that these are standards that we're going to hold you to. And that goes across committees, period. But you set the rules for what you want. You don't even need, while there obviously there's some guidelines in terms of borough hall, community boards have the right to determine like what frameworks they want to operate under.
I don't want to misspeak. I want to say it was 3, but I don't want to misspeak. It was an entire
In Brooklyn
document.
or
I
Manhattan?
I think it may have been in. I want to say it was in Manhattan. No, it was in Queens. It was in Queens. It was in Queens. It was a Queens community board that did it.
I
And their
think you should
council member.
circulate them.
Mhm.
I think you should circulate them and let the committee, craft ones that make sense for where we live, and then present that to the full board.
D35, District 35. I think it's maybe Board 35. Yeah. Once I get that actual framework, it was a document. I'll circulate that as well. I was reading it, trying to see what made the most sense out of it. But the one that I saw was an initial. This one is actually, this is actually it. It's for Community Board 35, and they have like a 2-track process. It speaks on affordability, deeply affordable. Then it has options, and it says option A, option B, option C. Then it provides a baseline, and then it shows additional. So it's basically giving criteria of how you would get an approval, and I guess that any person that's filing the application starts a pre-ULUP, you would share this framework, and at least initially they would know what you're looking for. Doesn't mean that they'll build to it, but it does mean that you do have some guidelines and parameters in place. So when we do start questioning some of the stuff that's coming in front of us, the framework kind of answers the questions before we have to ask them. I'll
Can
share
we,
it.
can
Huh?
we add architectural framework in there too? I know that's a real sticky subject, but
It's a little
you
bit
know,
sticky. It is
what?
sticky. It's
Yeah, it is
sticky.
sticky.
Yeah.
But can we just put it in there anyway? Why not just throw it all in there?
You got to agree as a committee to put that. I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't want somebody to tell you how to build your house. So
No, I
it's
don't,
kind of
you
hard to
know,
tell people how to build theirs.
no, I don't mean it to that level, just to the level of being within the scope of what's already in the neighborhood so that it fits in. It doesn't, you don't have to paint it a certain color, but it should have some kind of, I know this is almost impossible unless you have a landmarked neighborhood, but I still think that we should be able to do something. Like, it has to fit in. It can't be like 6 stories and when there's only 2 stories. Even if it's as of right, we have to have some way that we can discuss these things.
We have those
I don't,
discussions, but the issue is that we don't have those protections, and the city is coming
no,
back,
of
and
course.
they're utilizing this
But
I
they'll
don't
but
want to
they'll
call it.
know our feelings about what we want to see in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
It
sure.
doesn't mean that you have to go by it, but at least we have it there so they could take it into consideration if they see it. I don't know. I just that's a real sticky point for me that they just build this crap. It just looks crappy. No matter who it houses, it looks crappy. It's like they have no consideration for the beauty of the neighborhood. They just built these Bauhaus-like structures. And they paint them black and gray. It's just horrible. I don't know. I'm just
You know.
venting.
Yeah, excuse me. You're allowed to do that. I'm trying to share this link so I don't lose it, but yeah, I'll share this part of me. I'll share it here, just so everyone has eyes. This was what it's not sharing for some reason. All right, I get it out there. Yeah. So Bree, you're acknowledged.
Good evening. I agree with Marguerite and Allison and you about getting that done. I think the sooner the better, because I read an article this week about how they are, starting to promote building additional housing near the IBX. And since that cuts right through this neighborhood, they're going to start trying to find ways to build housing. And so if we can implement something like this sooner rather than later, that will benefit us when they do start trying to come in and, building whatever it is we don't know, but whatever they're planning to do.
Should the one thing that I was looking at is in the article, is in the chat. If you wanted to just review it, if you as a guideline or something. Again, I'm not sure of the effectiveness of it. I would have to ask some of the constituents, maybe some of our council members, the effectiveness of it, or how long it's been implemented, if so. But it is a interesting idea of how to narrow out. Not that we get many ULUP applications anyway, because of our neighborhood and the as of right condition, but in the future to potentially cordon off anything that wouldn't be desirable. All right. Ms. Martinez, Hazel.
I agree with Marguerite as well. And I was on another subject. I was on a call for another committee, and it was a Manhattan Community Board, and they have a lot of rules and protocols that they follow that, and our board doesn't seem to have any. So I think we need to really, structure some of the things that we, the rules or policies that we would like to see in our community, because these rules were deliberately put in place because they know they can get away with whatever they want to in the summer. And then most of our elected officials are quite bought into these politicians, these developers, so they're not really supporting our side.
For anyone that came late, it was mentioned that to review your ballots. There are some questions on the ballot. Actually, let me do this. We will be sharing afterwards, but there are 6 questions that are going to be on your next ballot that you should read and review to understand what's potentially on the docket, what you will be voting for. Be thorough in understanding what you're checking. Many people aren't. A lot of people just vote yes down, but this time they may slip something in that may affect us even more than it's affecting us now, especially with the city of yes looming. It's already been passed, and with the IBX and a couple of other things that may be coming down the pipeline, you have to be very careful when we see things like this. Obviously, I'm not encouraging you to tell you which way to swing, but I just have to bring the information to you so you understand what the potential outcome could be. Any surrender, whether they're allowing us to have community board review, doesn't mean that they actually respect and acknowledge it. They're stripping power away from the council members and our electeds, which are usually our, if we're the nail, they're the hammer, stripping it from them and then giving a council board the ability to reject, even if we approve or deny, doesn't seem like a fair process to me. But I put those questions and those things in the chat so you can have them, and we'll try to compile an email with that and the slide deck from the prior ULIP application and share that in the coming days. All right. Any additional new business? Ariana, sorry. I see you.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was raised a second ago, but
Right.
not new business. Just I wanted to add on to the comments about like architectural just guidelines. I think that could be feasible and good, and I think other communities are pretty good about like making sure that new developments match the existing context, and I think in ours new developments aren't good about that. So I was just putting my 2 cents that I agree.
Thank you. Any other new business? See hands clapping. Sorry. Ooh. Allison?
More just a heads up that the accessory dwelling units portion of City of Yes that passed is starting to really take shape. The HPD is moving forward with creating like a library of ADUs models that could be pre-approved and fast-tracked through DOB and through HPD. We knew from a study that we had done in conjunction with Columbia GSAP and a student studio, we had that in this community of East Flatbush alone, this could potentially lead to additional 6,000 units of housing. But people really need to think through what that impact is to them. And the reality is we don't know in full what tax treatment, be it property tax or investment property, investment taxes, all of those things, investment property tax or any of those treatments will be. But people need to start thinking through the pros and cons of that because it's starting to come to be a reality as
Also,
CVS is starting to, take.
And I also want in the same breath, the ADUs would in fact make these homeowners landlords, and I think that there needs to be some understanding of how housing court works. You know, um, it's a slippery slope, but putting ADUs and having tenants creates another impact that I'm not sure that people that have um, homes, or maybe they're not used to dealing with that instance, the need and the hows of how to get yourself out of that situation post COVID is much different than it was prior to COVID. The dates are a lot longer. You're still responsible for maintaining the property, for repairs, and oftentimes, you know, you have to make deals, or you'll be in court for many years trying to remove somebody. So I would love for anything that comes down the pipeline with ADUs to have that kind of information attached to it as well, because it seems to be like unless someone could speak to their experience, but from my knowledge, that housing court hasn't been the same post COVID. It's been taking at least 2 years to get tenants removed, or at least 2 years to get tenants removed, a year to actually get your case acknowledged, and potentially up to another year after the adjournments to actually get a judgment. All right. Sorry, just wanted to piggyback on that.
The city is planning to create like a one-stop shop website for all things ADU, but that remains to be seen, like how comprehensive it will be in terms of the on the ground concerns that people will have, just in terms of like exactly impact in housing court, all of those other things. But we'll see. But it would behoove our committee to be knowledgeable about it, so that we can make sure that people in our community are fully aware of their options and make the best decisions.
Also, did they speak to any of the funding? Wasn't there a discussion about potential funding?
The funding, there's still going to be the plus one program that the city has, is going to be run through Neighborhood Restore, which is part of HPD. There will be like grants. I don't know about if they will be increasing the grants. That's the hope. And there will be like low cost loans. But some of that requires like state legislation to improve. But the challenge has been that out of the numbers of people who applied for the first round of plus one, not many people actually made it full to approval. And sometimes the way these packages work, you kind of have to have been like a perfect mortgage payer in order to qualify. But the reality is, the people who need to generate this additional income, um, who need or want to create this additional income, most likely would not necessarily have been the best pairs over time. So that's the challenge, to see what other financing institutions, like maybe CDFIs, could create products that have more forgiving guidelines that could allow people to maybe even do character-based lending or anything like that, to be able to participate if they want to.
Okay.
But the other thought too is that most likely these are not going to be long-term rental spaces, I don't think. So will they have to sign up for the short-term rental list, which is an additional cost? We
I
don't
would
know.
think so. Yeah, I would think so. There's a permit now needed to start. Yeah, okay.
But no one has said that officially. So that's the thing. Like, so people could be making decisions and not have all of the information they need to make the numbers work, or
Do we know
the
if there's any
the
participation yet?
products work.
Like when they're
Not yet.
deploying all of these resources? Okay, all right.
It's coming about, but like right now they've just closed the RFP for models for what the program, which is called ADU for You. So they've accepted, like, architects have submitted things, and I guess in the next few weeks or so, they'll may release, like, whoever won or whatever models end up in their model library. But then the website and all that stuff will be developed over time. We may have the opportunity to create a focus group in this community around, people who how they feel about ADUs. So we'll definitely let you know if and when that happens.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha. She did put the town hall information that I got earlier. It doesn't say the date. I'm assuming it's for tomorrow. Could you confirm that in the chat? I did copy it, and we'll probably send it out with the other information tomorrow. The same space is limited. Community Board 9, that's the call that I got probably around 2:00 today about it. And it is speaking towards, or trying to provide information towards those ballot questions, and just trying to, inform the community about how they can be impacted. Thank you for sharing that. 9 town hall. Yeah. If you just confirm the date. I think she said tomorrow. I want to say she said it was tomorrow, but I would have to contact 9 just to see what it was. Was it 10/9? Okay, great. So we got a week. Next week. Even better. Even better. All right.
Sorry, as per the website, it says 10/9, October 9th
Okay.
is the town hall meeting.
Maybe I misunderstood her. Very good. Okay. Any other new business? Somebody put something in the chat. Something about a BJ's, Utica Avenue, where the Breeze Car Wash used to be. I think that they're doing some program potentially about that's where their gas station is going to be. I guess if you're a BJ's member, you usually
Yeah,
get
BJ's
discounted
gas
gas.
station.
Huh?
It's
Right?
a BJ's
Yeah.
gas station.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
gas
yeah.
station. Mhm.
All right. Just put in notices there. I'm watching. Sometimes I'm not in the best condition, but we are watching. And then I think all of the developments along Utica Avenue have probably concluded. Those state ones that we didn't really have the opportunity to Europe. They were supposed to be like senior housing or composite of it. Anybody see anything to indicate that those were done? They're transformative. They're the only things that look like it on Utica. And I'm gonna selfishly ask Miss Quashi about any IBX news. I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either.
Okay. All right. So I guys took it easy on me. I appreciate that. Tonight, thank you for joining us for tonight's meeting. I'm going to review some of the things we have. I did want to speak on, we spoke on it. Some of the things that we want to look for towards this fiscal, we didn't really get to do that in September. I think that we have a good guide of not only issues that we need to keep eyes on, but potential some work that we could do by year's end to make sure that we have something that fortifies us and protects us a little bit towards year's end. So we kind of did that. Thank you. Somebody's unmuted. Ms. Bennett.
Yes. Arsenal, do you hear anything about the old Raleigh building on Kings Highway in Clarkson, in the Rockaway Parkway, that area?
You said which building?
The
I'm
old
sorry.
Raleigh building.
The old what?
Right, right aid.
Kings Highway and Clarkson.
Clarkson, Rockaway Parkway.
Yeah, I'm just envisioning it in my head. No, I didn't hear anything about that.
It's an entire block.
An entire block is going into development or green boarded, you're saying?
It's right now it's an eyesore, but that was the old Raleigh building. It took up an entire block.
And before we adjourn, does anybody lose any parking spots in their neighborhoods or know anybody that may have lost parking spots for any rideshare programs? I did get a phone call about that. Anybody hear anything or see anything about residents losing parking spots in front of their homes potentially for ride shares? No.
I think there are 2 rideshare spots on New York Avenue right off of Avenue H. Zipcar.
And the bikes, city bikes.
There hasn't been more city bikes, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Some stuff to work towards. Thank you, everybody. Do we have a motion for adjournment? There we go.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting, and I hope that you feel better.
Fighting a good
And
fight.
Hudson, second it.
Thank you, guys. Motion's been moved and properly seconded. The meeting's adjourned. It's been a rough day. Parent-teacher conference. Sorry. We made it.